guess we should talk about Persona next. So, here we go. I'm going to give everybody listening a warning. Persona 5 Royal is a very long game, and I am just one man who does not have enough time to play a 120-hour game in the 4 days it's been out. So forgive me.
I feel like I put down that much time on Zelda.
I also had already started Gravity Rush 2 before then, and I felt like I needed to finish that before I started Persona, so I only started Persona on Thursday, so I'm sorry. I let you all down, and I started Persona 2 days after release. Truly tragic.
Really quick, Ethan, before you get started, my friend messaged me yesterday, and he's been playing Royal. He messaged me, and he's just like, I'm already in Okumura's palace.
Oh, snap.
I'm like, dude, chill out.
We're gonna talk about that because I'm gonna tell you where everyone is. So we're all on the same page. Before you two start asking your questions, you interrogating me because I've been kind of looking forward to this because I've kind of been keeping to my. I've been keeping this to myself, and I know that these two are interested in what's new, so I've been keeping it to myself. As how far am I? I have beaten Kamoshida, and I did that an hour before the podcast started. So, and when I say I've beaten Kamoshida, I mean that we've had the food scene where they go and get food, and I've done all that. I mean, chapter closed. I mean, chapter closed. Sai's gone to the Sai scene where she's like, "Oh, tell me about Madarame," and it started the Madarame chapter, but I haven't played past that. That first chapter, which I believe usually takes anyone between like 9 and 10 hours, usually. It's around, I like to think of it as usually it's around 10 hours a chapter, and then the chapters at the end get longer. But the first chapter should only take about 9 or so hours. It's taken me 13 and a half hours to get to the end of that first chapter, just for some kind of comparison, and that's where I am. So if you don't want spoilers in general, if you just want to know, is it worth double dipping? If you're a really big Persona fan, yes, it's worth double dipping. Go play it, because even the tiniest little details have already made me scream, and it's like it's pretty great. If you're new, is it worth it? I don't know yet, because as a fan of the game and a really big fan of Persona 5, there are bits that still feel out of place to me. Like a character shows up extremely early and it's something new, and I'm like, this isn't how it goes. Does this fit well? And it probably will, but I can't say it yet. But yeah, anyway, you know where I am. You know how long I've played it. Feel free, ask away, guys. You can ask anything you want. Go for it.
What are some of the notable big differences you've seen so far compared to the original?
Okay, so biggest changes so far. Obviously, like every other Persona game, when they do a re-release, there's a brand new intro. Mm-hmm. There's a new anime intro. Wake up, get out there. I always stumble over that. Is no more, effectively.
Tragic.
Which is weird. Truly tragic. And there's a new one. There's a new song, which I cannot remember what it's called. Which I should remember what it's called, because I know the name of the new battle theme, but I don't know the name of this new song. I really like the new song, but there's something about the animation, and if you're a Persona fan if you're this hardcore of a Persona fan and you get this reference, fair play to you, but the animation at the start, at least, the new animated cutscenes that aren't the start one have been fine, but this new one in particular, Kyle will understand this one, gives me P5A vibes, which is the anime that they did.
No.
Yeah, and the animation quality doesn't seem as great as Wake Up, Get Up, Get Out There at all. It kind of seems like in a way, it's all colourful and it's all big and it's all explosive and a load of stuff's happening and they're kind of screaming, we have money now. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, you do, but also it still looks a bit crappy because it's the same people that made the P5A stuff and you can tell. So I'm like, that's fine.
So less is more in this case.
Less is more in a way. I think Wake Up, Get Up. Also, it kind of spoils everything. That's why I say, if you're new to Persona, maybe Persona 5 Royal isn't the best, because the great thing that I think Persona 5 does is, when you boot up the game, it shows you every member of the Phantom Thieves, right? When you're watching the intro, it shows you every member. But in a way, you kind of don't notice, so that you're still playing the game, and at least for me, personally, I wasn't going, okay, we still have Ginger Girl and the weird and Haru and all these people still showing up. I wasn't aware of who's going to be coming in next to the story. Whereas in this game, it very much goes, here's Fox, and here's Haru, and here's everyone, and look, everyone's here. Hey, look, there's Akechi. Don't worry about him. I'm sure he isn't important. So, like, everyone's there, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm like, I wish you kind of keep some of it a secret, like the original, but they don't really do that.
I mean, at the same time, I feel like Atlas kind of expected a lot of the fans to double dip, so they can be a little more lenient with what they put in the intro.
It's 100% a double dip game, which I'll get into more later, but it's 100% a double dip game. They have put things in there where they're like, the only people that would genuinely get a smile or benefit, or even will notice it, are people that have played the original. You wouldn't notice it.
Good to know.
Other big things. There are some small things that are great, but I'm going to save those for now. I think the big thing is, I know a question that everyone was asking before the game came out are the palaces different?
Well, you've played one.
I've played one of them.
Which is the same.
No.
Effectively.
It's I can kind of get an idea of what they've done with the palaces. And what I can say is, are they the same? Kind of.
Nice.
For the most part, it still follows the same layout in a way, but things have changed. There's the grappling hook mechanic, which they've added in.
Thank you,
from Smash Bros. Thank you, Smash Bros. So now they've added new areas which require you to use the grapple hook to get up to, and there's a very weird mechanic where it's like, we'll tell you if you can grapple hook to somewhere, because your left glove will start turning blue.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh cool, we got some Michael Jackson thing going on.
God forbid you just use a grappling hook anywhere you want.
God forbid you just look up and go, oh, I can't go anywhere, let me look up, oh, grapple hook. No, you have to have like Michael Jackson hand going blue, like you got two different colored gloves.
Take like the Animal Crossing slingshot approach.
Yeah, but yeah, from what I can tell in terms of the palaces, they very much have just refined them, which is why I can't wait to get to Akumura's palace, because I want to see if that's still a hell. Like, that's what I'm the one, because Kamoshida's palace, it's basic.
It's a good first dungeon.
It's a good first dungeon.
It's a good intro.
They did some refinements to it, which I really liked. For example, I don't know if anyone remembers the rooftop room where you've got to like sneak past all the guards and then do the jumping up the tower bit.
Yeah.
Like, when you jump up the tower. That room is really clunky. Like that whole bit is extremely clunky. And it just never clicked. Now you grapple hook onto the roof to avoid them, and then you grapple hook again and you swing like all the way up to the top. Which is nice, it just saves a load of time. And then you can actually backtrack to go in the old way to get some extra collectibles, which is nice. They kept the old ways in there. But mainly it's adding things to, at least for the first palace, they added things more. So there's this new collectible called Will Seeds. There's 3 in each palace, collect all 3, and then at the end of the palace, when you go to Mementos, for some reason the tutorial tells you that you can take them to Mementos and get them traded even before I've been to Mementos, which is a thing that a gripe that I kind of have with it, with the game. It tells you, it gives you a bit of spoiler. But you take them to Mementos and you trade it for like a unique talisman that you can give to your characters, which will give you a buff in the next palace, essentially, which is nice. But the big thing about the Will Seeds is they're in new locations, they're brand new, they're kind of puzzly, kind of trying to figure out where they are. But the great thing about them, and I'm like, thank you, isn't the fact that they're a collectible, is the fact that when you collect them, it replenishes a percentage of your of your SP.
Yes.
Which means now you have a solution to the ever problem in that game of, I want to keep going through this palace, but I'm out of SP. So now you have the choice of, hey, I can go and look for these collectibles and regain SP and carry on my way. Which is brilliant. I thought when I saw that, I'm like, that's great. I was able to do Kamoshida's palace in one playthrough, which I was unable to do in the original P5 because you just don't have enough stamina. Where now they've implemented a mechanic where they're not just giving you more SP. They haven't made SP any less valuable, but they've given you an option to go out of your way to regain more, which is a really nice thing. And then you get a reward for doing it, which is nice.
That is nice, because the palaces oftentimes with me, because I refuse to take more than one day to do them, would become a war of attrition for me.
Yeah.
Where it started off strong, and then the longer I went, the more I was like limping to the finish line.
But no, it's definitely something that's really appreciated. In that terms, the other big thing, which I only just found before coming on the podcast because it's only just been along to me, it's something called Thief HQ. Yes, that's what I thought when I saw it on the menu. I was like, It's called Thief HQ. I believe it's called Thief HQ. I can't remember if that's the 100% the name. But what it is it's a new kind of museum option where you just go into the main menu and it doesn't count for your game time. Don't worry, I checked. I'm technically on 14 hours because I spent so much time in the museum, but it doesn't count. And what it is it's interesting. It is Joker's Palace.
Oh, that's cool.
So what it is it's kind of a museum where you can place objects from other people's palaces and things you've collected in it, and you can display them. It's like your own little display museum, and cognitions of your friends will be able to come over, will be in there, and you can talk and you can get new dialogue from them and stuff like that based on past experiences. So, for example, the one I had was I put Arsene on like a podium. You can put Arsene on like one of the podiums essentially, and Anne, Ryuji, and Morgana were all there, and then they had a conversation of, so this is what Joker's first persona looked like. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, by the way, how did you meet Morgana? And then Ryuji makes a joke about how he was a little bitch and was stuck in a cell and and he was screaming and crying. And then Morgana has a cry himself because you've just told Anne that. And there's just it's a lot more dialogue, which is quite cool. They've got concept. It's also a place where they've added concept art for the original game and for Royal that you can view and display on walls and stuff like that. They have a music player in the game now, which is
I love music players in games.
Yeah.
Not only does it let you listen to every song that you've come across in the game, it also lets you select any of them to be your palace kind of theme, so you can have it playing at all times.
Oh, that is tasty.
So I put the gun shop one on straight away. I'm like, what a banger, dude. Like, okay, get it on, dude. Get it on. And so you can go around. Other things that they have added is a new achievement system in the Thief HQ, which is what I'm talking about. So instead of having the trophy list be absolute dog shit like it was in the original P5, now instead they have this wall full of 20 million achievements for you to do, and they're all dog shit. So it's great. So you've got confidant ones where it's like, get max all confidants in one playthrough, max all lovers in one playthrough, have every relationship possible in the game at once, stuff like that. And then there's some that are battle worthy, and they give you these points that you can spend to unlock concept art and stuff like that. That's kind of how it works. It's more of a showcase stuff. Cool. You can also, which I thought was really weird, but it's a kind of cool touch, is you can play as every other character in there. So you can walk around as any character in any costume. So you can play as Ryuji while you're in there if you want, in any costume that you have for him, and just chill and stuff like that. And then the last thing that they have in there, which I'm going to remember, is they have a card game where you can play a form of poker. It's not poker, but it's a different kind of card game. It's a Japanese kind of version of poker with your Phantom Thief crew, which is interesting. So it gives you some stuff. It's a load of random stuff, but they've just compiled it all into one place. And there you go. It's called Thief HQ. It's weird. It's cool. You can design it. You can listen to music.
Like a cool little hub world.
It's a nice little detail that they added that I don't think they needed to do. But hey, it's fun, and it's a great excuse to go and listen to some music. I'll definitely be using that as a way of
around there now. I did on the city streets. The original game.
Yeah, no longer do I have to sit in the corner of the gun shop awkwardly because I'm like, to be honest, mate, I just want to sit here for an extra 20 minutes and listen to the song, okay? Now you can just do it in the comfort of your own palace, so that's pretty cool. Other things that I really liked that I noticed was a lot of optimization in terms of both performance and also in terms of just making life a hell of a lot easier for everyone. So, in no particular order, frame rate, even though the frame rate was already great on Persona 5 Original, it's still 30, but this time it's absolutely locked. There's nothing. I've seen no problems. It's fully 1080 30 all the time. Load times are gone.
Nice.
Which is the big thing for me. I have seen take your time in the corner of my screen 3 times in 15 hours of gameplay.
Wow.
That's
now,
crazy.
Transitions between cutscenes are practically instant, and when you're moving in the open world, it has enough time to show the cool little transitions for about roughly a second before before you're already there. It's really impressive. To the point of, I remember seeing in the first trailer, I'm like, hey, they've changed the transitions. The reason they've changed the transitions is because they're now super quick because of the load times, which is great. Really like that. The touchpad menu, back in Persona 5, I don't know if you ever used this, but if you press the touchpad, it told you what everyone else had done on that day. It kind of gave you like a little schedule of like, 50% of people went to the palace, 30% hung out with Ryuji.
Yeah,
like
I remember that.
Awesome.
Never even used it.
And 2 people went to bed, you know?
I'd look at it here and there.
They've changed that, so it's now called the touchpad menu. And what this is when you press the touchpad, if you press the touchpad, you have a load of options, and it's a quick select menu, essentially. If you press any button on the D-pad, you still get your schedule of what people did in that day, which is cool. But now, you have a quick select menu, so if you press triangle on the quick select, it will show you every available confidant, and you can click on any of them, and it will teleport you straight to them. No longer do you have to faff around on the map going, who's available, I don't know.
Oh, that's just
Can I try and find them? Yeah, teleport to them. Same with stat boosts. So if you're like, oh, no one's around, but what stats can I upgrade? You can just press X and it'll tell you which stats you can upgrade and where you can do it. So you can just instantly teleport there. You can also press the touchpad and square, and it'll instantly take you to your hideout without you having to faff around with the menus and stuff like that. And overall, it's a really nice thing to have, because no longer it's a lot of Persona's time management in terms of days, and now it's just you have a menu where you don't have to worry about, I wonder who's available and what I can do and stuff like that. It'll tell you very quickly. So it's a really nice feature. I made a joke to you, Kyle, about the toilets.
Yes.
And you thought I was joking, and I'm not. Toilets are one of the best features in Persona 5 Royal. Because when you go to the toilet in either LeBlanc or in school, they're the only 2 I found so far. Should probably do a toilet hunt. You now do something called, you now reflect. And what it does is it tells you how close you are to your next social stat levels up.
Oh,
you can now
see,
yeah, you can now see how close you are to achieving the next level in your social stats, which you couldn't in Persona 5 original.
Well, that was something you could do in Persona 4 original.
Yeah,
like you could go into the bathroom at your school and be like, "Oh, I should hang out with this person."
Like, I think my relationship will deepen with this person soon.
Or like, I have exams coming up, I should go study.
Yeah, except it's a bit different
than
that.
Increase my knowledge.
It'll literally go through all 5 of your social stats, and it'll tell you how far away you are.
Oh.
Now, it's not an exact number. It won't say you need 9 more XP points, because who knows what that is, right? But it will say, I'm nowhere near, or I'm somewhat close, or I'm really close. It will now give you an idea of how far you are into the level. And it will do it for all of them at the same time, which is nice. There's also elements now where instead of jobs, instead of them having busy days that are random, so you get paid more randomly, they've now set it to a set date, and they even text you when it's that date. So it's like, hey, this is the day that if you want to make more money, come in today, and stuff like that. There's just a load of nice little features like that, which is great. In terms of story, there's not much that's new. The new girl's already been introduced. New girl, I don't remember her name.
Kasumi,
thank you. She was introduced in the tutorial. There's this bit in the tutorial that goes completely different to the original, and she shows up, and then she does this whole thing where she's like, hey, I'm not a phantom thief, but I'm here, and I already have my persona change and everything. I'm like, okay, that adds up. That's a bit weird. And she shows up at the start of the game, and all the new cutscenes at the moment have just been, a majority of them have been stuff with her where she's just randomly there. She's also a transfer student, interestingly. And she also came to the same day as you. So instead of having everyone just hate your ass for the entirety of the first game, now you have half the people hating your ass and half the people talking about how horny they are for this new girl.
Oh,
so there you go.
I'd rather people just hate me.
High school.
Yeah, it's never just. Oh, did you hear there's a new girl? She's super talented. She's like, oh boys, have you seen her? It's like, oh fucking hell, Yeah, like, exactly. So yeah, I'm just going to go through everything, and then you can ask me any questions that you have afterwards, because I said I was going to do main features, but I'm just going to talk about everything now. And then I'll let you ask if I know anything else. There's new voice lines and details. One of them that I want to talk about is the phone wallpaper in the background, which this is the one that made me squeal for no reason. On certain days and certain seasons, instead of just having a plain red background, it's now animated. So, for example, because it was cherry blossom season, you had cherry blossoms falling down in the background of your texts and stuff like that, just randomly. It was just really nice detail. I'm like, hey, that's really cool. I like it. There's other details, like now when you're on the phone to someone, instead of you just being on the phone, they now have like a weird shaped square which has their portrait in it. So there's like, you can see them now when you're talking to them, which is a nice weird detail. That's cool. For some reason they decided to add. They added all of the characters, like the character portraits, have been redesigned and completely done, and they're 100% better. They're really good. Nice. There's not been a single character that has had a downgrade, in my opinion. Ryuji's had a massive upgrade on his character profiles, like extremely. They're a lot more expressive. They introduced characters a lot earlier in the game this time around. You could actually talk to Haru in the first day, which is also leads to stuff like random like Easter eggs. Like, for example, you find out the reason that the roof is unlocked at Shujin is because one of the teachers is leaving it unlocked for Haru so that she can water the plants, and that's the reason why it's always open and no one knows why. Well, that's the reason why they just added that in for no reason.
Oh. So does that give you access to the garden earlier?
It hasn't yet, but I believe it will do.
Okay.
But yeah, so Haru has been introduced a lot earlier. You see her everywhere. She's watering the plants outside of the Shujin Academy every day. You can see her everywhere. She very much doesn't just show up now halfway through. She's a part of the school already.
They really took that. She shows.
They really took that. They took that criticism to heart, dude. They're like, okay, we're just gonna, even if she's not introduced in the story, she's gonna be in the background everywhere. Which I thought was interesting. There are other like super niche Easter eggs and stuff like that in the game that you'll just notice over time and stuff like that. When something different does happen, like sometimes there'll be a tongue-in-cheek thing about it.
A little wink at the camera.
Yeah, like a wink at the camera is like, hey, this is new. Like, the new girl is coming out of... There's a new scene with Kamakari, and she's like, oh, I need to talk to you in the counselor's room or whatever. And then there's just one with Kamoshida and the new girl. They've just come out of there in a meeting or whatever. And then there's... nothing happened, don't worry. Can confirm nothing happened.
I'm pretty sure she could take him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do this whole thing of there's like this whole tongue-in-cheek moment where Kamoshida's like, oh yeah, this guy's like the worst of the worst, you shouldn't talk to him, and you've already helped her and you've been really nice to her so far. So she's like, I don't believe that. And then Kamoshida does make some kind of comment like, oh, it's weird that both of you showed up on the same day. It's like, nice. Something's off. Why will you both show up at the same day? Like, there's like little nods and references like that. And then the last thing I can think of, which has just been a list of me gushing, is lowered social stat requirements. You don't need to do as much to get your social stats up anymore. At the end of Kamoshida's Palace, I have everything level 2 except for knowledge. And I think... Idiot. Yeah, the level 2s, every one of them except for knowledge requires like 9... Yeah, like 9 points or whatever. Oh, actually, one more thing. Go to bed has been killed.
Yes.
Completely.
Boo.
Now you're not allowed to leave LeBlanc, but you can do any activity that you could do in LeBlanc in that evening, so you can boost your skills and stats while doing so.
That's nice.
Oh shoot.
So suck it, Morgana. I'll go to bed when I want.
So now every night you can either watch a DVD, which also, little detail about the DVDs, you can no longer have late fees, you just pay an annual subscription. There's no late fees now.
Nice.
You can watch a DVD, you can read a book, you can study, or you can do the crossword, or you can make coffee or whatever. Every day now, essentially. There's no limit on that. And that's every little... Oh, and Takeover's brilliant. The new battle theme's brilliant.
Oh, I've got one.
Go on.
This is gonna... You might not remember because of what it is, but like the questions they ask you in class to like boost your knowledge, are those the same?
No.
Oh, they changed them. Cool.
So there's one that I was like, oh, I see where this is going. Like at the start, they do the same question where they talk about Emperor Nero and the Olympics or whatever. And the original question, for some reason, this stayed in my mind where it's like, oh, which of these did you win a gold medal in? And the answer was like singing or whatever.
Yeah,
it was something silly like that.
Whereas this time around, it was at this time it was like, oh, which one of these did Emperor Nero not win a gold medal in? And it was a load of them, and then the last answer was all of them, and you answer all of them, and he's like, yeah, that's right, he won in everything because he rigged everything. So there's some that are like slightly changed where it's still on the same subject. There are some that are completely new. Like the optical illusion ones so far have been new for me that weren't in the original. And there's a new feature with Anne specifically where now some days Anne will get asked a question and she doesn't know the answer and you have to whisper it to her.
Oh, that's
so that's
cool.
A new thing where it's like, hey, help me out. And so you're just whispering the answers to her.
Did that happen in Persona 4?
Yes, it did.
I thought so.
So they added that now.
It was with Yosuke and Chie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because Yosuke's a dumbass.
That adds up.
So yeah, that's a new thing. And I think that's everything that I can think of in terms of questions. They seem new. Some of them are new, some of them are different. Anyone got a question?
I do.
Go on, Kyle.
So,
hit me.
I am someone who enjoyed playing the original P5. I did my one playthrough, and I never touched it again.
Must be nice.
Do you think that Royal, from what you've played so far, adds enough to warrant dropping another $60 on what I assume is going to be a lot of the same game? Like,
to me, it depends.
Put your bias aside, is it worth it?
For a new person,
for me to just do another one playthrough of P5,
it depends how much
with
you
some
really
new
like
bells and whistles.
It depends how much you liked P5 in the first place. That's my honest opinion. Is if you are someone that has already played P5, and if you're thinking to yourself, "Hey, P5 Royal's out, and all I want is just the new shit." If there's something that you're like, hey, I don't want to do the whole. If you don't want to play the whole game again, then no, because it is the fucking game. It's Persona 5, right?
Yeah.
But if you're someone that's like, hey, I really liked Persona 5, and I want to see what's new, and there were the things that put me off doing it again. I forgot to mention the new shadow types and stuff like that. There's new shadow types. Sorry, forgot to say. And new ways to fight them. And guns. I've just thought of like 20 more things now. Great.
Keep going. Answer the damn question.
Let me just quickly say before I forget. Guns now, you replenish your ammo on guns after every battle now. They're a lot weaker, but now you don't have limited ammo per palace. It's per battle. Anyway, I'm done with that.
Cool. That's a good feature.
Guns are a lot more viable now.
Maybe I'll finally use the gun.
Yeah, anyway. But no, if you're someone that was like, hey, I really liked P5, but things that always, like, there's stuff that was always holding me back, like, if there was stuff that was always holding you back, like how vague it was in terms of leveling up people and leveling up your social stats, and at this stage, I'd say wait. If you're someone that's not absolutely in love with P5 like I am and could literally play the same game for the rest of your fucking life because you're a lunatic, I'd say wait until I've played it and then I can give you a good guess, because the only palace that I played is one I like. I think the strength of this game, I'll be like, yes, it's worth another playthrough if, one, the post-game content's worth the extra playthrough. If, two, the new characters and stuff seem to be... The new dialogue's really nice, but it's not something that I feel like, oh, you needed this, right? It's nothing like that. But I'm waiting to see, hey, what did they do to the other palaces? What little things have they made? Because if they've My factor is, if they can make me actually like Akuma's palace, then they've sold me. This is the better version.
Test.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I'd say it's going to be interesting. We'll see. But for now, hold off on it, unless you really like P5. Because it's P5.
Okay.
It's P5, but it's a lot more of a clean. It's like a lot more of a clean experience. There's no more of this. Maybe this should have my knowledge is level 3 and I need level 4 knowledge, and I don't know how far through not level 3. So you're gonna be sitting there forever.
Yeah, it's just a lot of quality of life changes, pretty much.
So far, there's a load of quality of life changes. They've done stuff to the battle system where, in my opinion, the battle system is just downright better now. There is no reason.
Oh, wow.
There's no reason to not play P5R in terms of battle, because Baton Pass is now for everyone automatically. As soon as they're in your party, you can Baton Pass. You no longer have to level
that's
up.
nice.
That is spiffy.
They've given everyone a new ability except for instead of Baton Pass, and everyone just has Baton Pass automatically.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's things like there's new shadows and there's new shadow types. There's an explosive shadow, where the whole idea about the explosive shadow is if you attack them, they automatically attack you back. So they don't attack unless you attack them. But the benefit to them is if you kill them, they'll amplify the last damage that you took from them. So if you do a 50 hit on their critical, when they die on their dying blow, they deal 50, right? They'll explode and they'll deal 70 damage to the other shadows that are in the fight. So there's some tactics with those kinds of mechanics. There's new combat types. There's a new special move that I haven't unlocked yet.
Okay.
And stuff like that. The battle system, Persona 5 already had a great battle system, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
It was already one of its strongest suits, in my opinion.
For a turn-based RPG, it was a really in-depth battle system that kept the player very involved.
In my opinion, it's stuff like that, and then it's fixing the guns. So now the guns actually make more sense, because the whole thing behind the guns was, because they look real, the shadows will think they're real, right? I'm like, that's cool. So why do they have limited ammo? Because how does this shadow go, that looks real? It also looks like it only has 4 rounds left, to be honest.
How do shadows even understand the concept of ammo?
Morgana says that when they see a gun, the shadows just assume that you have a full mag, so your ammo just replenishes, which makes sense.
Yes, it does.
They don't do as much damage, but now it's use your gun first unless they're resistant, because it deals more damage than a normal attack. It's now a viable option. Not as many things are weak to it, but it's now viable, which is nice. It's a lot of stuff. Baton passes make the whole of Kamoshida's palace a lot more bearable.
I can imagine, yeah.
Takeover, the new song is great, which also helps the battle experience, because now you have 2 great battle themes instead of 1. And just it does seem like it's got a lot. The battle system was already really well done, but now really it's now safe to say that it is
even more refined.
Even more refined. It's probably my favorite battle system in a turn-based RPG now, by far, because just of how refined it is and how well it works. It was already working well, but they just decided, hey, what if we just really polish it? And they did, and it worked great.
It's good to know.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot there that I feel like they very much made it so they were like, hey, if people are going to replay through our game, let's make it so that they have as much fun as possible replaying it.
Right.
And they're not going to sit there and go, you know what? I can't be bothered to do Kamoshida's Palace because my SP always runs out and I have to do 2 or 3 trips when I've already been there 4 or 5 times because my SP is running out and there's no Baton Pass, so every fight takes forever.
Yeah.
So now they're like, Baton Pass straight away. Hey, even before you have Anne as a confidant, you can Baton Pass. Wonderful. Just everyone, Baton Pass is now a feature. And I don't know if they did this in the original. Oh God, I've been talking way too much about Persona. I don't know if they did this in the original, but now there's a reason to Baton Pass all the way through.
Oh.
Because now, if you Baton Pass 3 people in a row, the last person in the Baton Pass, any move they do will not cost any HP or SP. And it'll be at its max damage.
Oh, that is the greatest news.
So if you perfect a Baton Pass now, you get rewarded significantly to the point where you get a free move, essentially, and that move deals maximum damage.
I think that was like something I would do just because it was like convenient if I could pull it off. I think you got
an achievement for that in the original.
Yeah, you've got an achievement for it. But now they literally say, there's literally a tutorial where they're like, yeah, baton pass everyone.
Do it.
Because you just, there's stuff like that where it's just like, it's a lot nicer. It's a much cleaner. Also, one thing, negotiating with shadows was always a pain.
Yeah.
The game now has a tutorial which specifically tells you, I don't know if it was there before, it probably was, but I'm just a dumbass. But the tutorial specifically now tells you, Gloomy likes this likes that, and there's 4 of them. And it just tells you what each one likes. It's just like, hey, if you want to memorize it, it's in the game. Just,
nice.
It's there.
Yeah, I don't think the original ever told you that.
Yeah, so there's now a specific tutorial where it's like, Gloomy likes serious, this, it's like energetic likes whatever the types are. It now just the tutorials, they added a shit ton of tutorials.
And when I say you do with RPGs,
not in a bad way. This Morgana literally like takes you through everything that's new, and goes through. But it's in a way where you're no longer thinking. So what is the point of baton pass? What is the point other than an extra move? And stuff. They added animations and they've added like tutorials where it's to the point now where you can go out to Kamoshida's palace and you know everything. Well, and the game doesn't hide anything from you anymore. The game doesn't go, oh, maybe you'll figure out what weaknesses are. Maybe you'll figure out what a technical is, which I still didn't know until this game told me what a technical is. 165 hours in P5 and I actually learned what a technical was when the game told me in its fucking remaster, when it was like, oh yeah, this is what a technical is and this is why you should do it. And I'm like, thank you for telling me that. Why couldn't you have told me that the first time? So no, battle systems way more refined. So yeah, play it. There's a load of stuff for people that are big fans of it. Like I say, if you're not willing to put in the 80 hours to get to the new content again, if you're not like, Persona 5 is a great game. If you're ever feeling, hey, I want to replay Persona 5, I might as well, should I just play the original or should I get the new one? I'm like, get the fucking new one because you're gonna have a blast with it. Because there's nothing that it's doing worse so far.
Because the new one is P5 with more shit.
Yeah. With better personally, I've just been waiting until I feel like playing Persona 5 again to get it.
Yeah. It's very much a extra. It's basically a let's make the most painless version of P5 possible.
Yeah, it's Persona 5 final mix, pretty much.
Essentially, it's
the Kingdom Hearts fans.
Yeah, it's essentially, hey, I really love Persona 5, but if there's things that are holding you back, like the clunkiness of the social stats and social links being a bit awful and not knowing where everything is. Also, nice feature, all of the teleport spots, like not buildings, but all the teleport spots like the underground mall and stuff like that, they're just available instantly. You don't have to go and find the underground mall to transport there. Specific shops, yes, but places no anymore. Like, they've just done stuff like that makes it a hell of a lot better. The social stats at night with Morgana no longer telling you to go to bed, you can actually do something at those. Mind-blowing. Don't know why that wasn't originally there, you know? Overall, they have just made, like, a game that's great for new people to come into the game, and they're going to have the best experience possible. And if people want to come back to it, if you're in love with Persona 5, you're already in love with Persona 5, so it doesn't matter. But if you were like, hey, I want to come back, but there's these hiccups and there's bits and pieces where I'm not 100% a fan of, then they've added stuff there to make the like, no, seriously, have baton passes now. Just take them. We're going to add these new shadows, we're going to add these new moves, we're going to make everything as clean as possible. There's also, last little thing, in the Velvet Room, there's now challenge battles that give you items.
Ooh.
So
that's neat.
So no longer is there a massive gap of story gameplay. If you want, you can choose to go to the Velvet Room and practice your gameplay there as well and win items for it.
Huh.
So yeah, cool little feature. But I think I've talked about it long enough. Play it. It's great. If you feel like playing it. Is it worth the asking price? For me, it is. But the thing I'll always say with this game is, there's a part of me that's like, oh, is it worth it if you've already played it? And I'm like, yeah, but also it's a fucking 120-hour RPG. Like,
Yeah.
If you're going to play it again, even if it's majority the same and it's just a nicer experience, it's worth it because you're still going to get 120 hours from that $60. So,
yeah.
Hey, can't complain. In terms of when we were talking earlier about price to whatever ratio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like $2, or that's like 2 hours $1.
Double.
And from what I have heard, there is substantial... Obviously, there's a new palace, but there are substantial changes to the story at the end, and there is also substantial changes to just characters in general.
Yeah.
So, hey, I know when the last palace... I know where the new palace is. Is it at the end? Of course it's at the fucking end. But, you know... There's a whole extra semester, essentially, at the end of P5 now for you to play. And on top of all the new mechanics and all the great stuff that they've added, it very much is a... I wouldn't even say final mix, because it's not even, like, they've not just, like, added a couple of bosses or whatever. It very much is, like, a definitive edition. Like, Xenoblade's out there calling itself Definitive Edition, right? And maybe it is the Definitive Edition, right? We'll see when that comes out. It probably will be. But
at least as far as visuals
it
are concerned.
It will be. It will be. But
they've already announced a whole new story.
Yeah, this is the same. This is the same. Yeah, to the same extent that Persona 5 has a whole new semester. It very much is the definitive package now. Go play this version. If you already own P5 and you haven't played it yet, then yeah, maybe just play P5 because you already all bought it. You stupid idiot! Why haven't you played it yet? But, if you don't own it yet, you've been thinking, "Oh, I've really wanted to play P5 for so long. Should I just pick up the old version, or should I pick up the new version?" There's so many great features that they've added that just makes your life a lot easier.